Naomi Nichols' Hero's Journey, and Miriam Toews' A Complicated Kindness. By Jana Hammond. In A Complicated Kindness, the main character Naomi can be seen to show the steps of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey through the three broad phases of departure, adventure, and completion. With each of these phases, Naomi can be seen to represent the phases of the hero's journey. They do not always occur exactly chronologically through the novel, as they occur on Naomi's journey to self-identity and growth. To begin, the first stage of Naomi's departure is the ordinary world, where Naomi is introduced to the audience and is still unaware of her potential for growth. This is shown through the way in which her life is regular and pretty normal for her town for the majority of her life so far. She shows this through a quote saying, "I have assignments to complete. That's the word, complete. I've got a problem with endings." Through flashbacks, Naomi shows how in the past she was an ordinary teenager living with her family. She doesn't know or understand her place in the world or have a purpose to find that out. She shows how at the beginning of the novel she is still naive and living on the hope that her mother and sister will one day just come back and everything will be okay again. Next, Naomi's call to adventure, or the point in her life when everything is going to change, is the disappearance of Trudy and Tash, her mother and sister. Naomi introduces this point when she says, "Half of our family, the better-looking half, is missing." Naomi's call to adventure begins with the disappearance of Trudy and Tash, and the realization that she has that they are not coming back, a realization that she only comes to understand through aging and maturing. This is an area of growth for her, as this understanding of the truth spans throughout the novel, and it teaches her to become more independent, as well as show her the harsh reality of life and that it does not often turn out as planned. Naomi's reluctance, or refusal of the call to adventure, is seen in the way that she continues to stay stuck in her life circumstances. She has a dream to leave East Village and escape the oppression that she experiences there, yet she still finds herself obligated to stay. She shows this when she says, "If we could get out of this town, things might be better, but we can't because we're waiting for Trudy and Tash to come back." Through this quote, Naomi expresses that she feels stuck in her town, and despite the fact that she wants to leave, she stays out of obligation to her father. She does not want to let him down as her mother and sister did, but she also stays in a kind of obligation to herself, to keep holding on to hope, the hope that maybe one day, if she stays, her mother and sister will come back. A wise mentor to Naomi is seen through her friend Lydia. Lydia is an example of a wise person archetype in Naomi's life, and helps her along her quest of self-discovery. Her kindness gives Naomi faith in humankind, despite being surrounded by those who are not as kind. Naomi describes Lydia saying that, "She would be thinking about what I was saying," and it's true, she did think about what I said. Sometimes I'd say stuff one day, and the next time I saw her, she'd refer to it and ask me if I was still feeling the same way, or if things had changed. Nobody our age did that. Though they are the same age, Lydia's genuine kindness and simplistic outlook on life is imposed on Naomi in a wise and non-traditional manner of mentoring. Lydia inspires Naomi to be a better person and gives her an opportunity to be herself and not have to continually portray the rebellious attitude that she puts on in her life outside of being with Lydia in the hospital. Naomi experiences crossing into the field of adventure and leaving her past life behind when she decides to continue to rebel against her community and religion. She begins to stray from her hope that Trudy and Tash will return and begins to work through accepting this fact by rebelling and separating herself from the values and ideals of her religion. Naomi shows this when in the book in the store and is reluctant to be open to the idea of help from others. In the book it says, "May I pray for you?" she, the cashier at the store, asked. I thanked her and said goodbye. This is one of the few and first times where Naomi experiences simple human kindness from another member of her community. The cashier extends what she believes is help and is trying to do good in the world by helping Naomi. However, Naomi is still reluctant to understanding that not everyone in her community's strict Mennonite religion has oppressive intentions, and runs away from this by leaving the store. Now moving on to the adventure phase of Naomi's hero journey, which includes the roads of trials and tests. A prominent test that Naomi faces is the struggle with breaking free of her religion and the expectations put on her as a teenager in her community. Through doing this, she begins to feed her ambition to escape her life by rebelling through drugs and alcohol. Her rebellious nature can be seen when Naomi and Travis have a conversation about floating around in a kind of, vortex of sleeping, drinking. Naomi breaking free and rebelling is her going through a personal test. She thinks that straying from the kindness in her world and rebelling against what is forced upon her will allow her to experience freedom, and this act of doing so is a test she puts upon herself. However, it is only after going through this and experiencing her methods of rebellion that Naomi learns that no amount of rebelling and fighting will give her the true freedom she is longing to feel. Further, Travis also acts as a form of a test to Naomi. He fuels her addictions and encourages her rebellion. Naomi idolizes Travis and continues rebelling to keep up with him, testing her character and morals and lack of dedication to her faith. Next, Naomi has one of her lowest moments, or supreme ordeal, when she begins to understand that her rebelling and attempt to break free are not making her feel happy or achieve the freedom and independence that she so desperately longs for. It is only after this point that she begins to understand that acceptance of her situation and the fact that her mother and sister are not coming back will help her to truly let go of the past. She shows this when she says, "I just want to be myself. I just want to do things without wondering if they're a sin or not. I want to be free. I want to know what it's like to be forgiven by another human being, and not have to wait around all my life anxiously wondering if I'm an okay person or not, and having to die to find out." During this low point in Naomi's journey, she questions and doubts herself and her ability to be happy. She longs to be able to experience the love that is not defined by a religion or community, but greatly struggles in trying to learn how to do this. Throughout the novel, Lydia acts as an ally and unconventional mentor to Naomi. Naomi shows an example of revisiting the mentor when she visits Lydia in the hospital and is upset by the unkind actions and care that a nurse gives to her, so Naomi gets frustrated and outwardly expresses her anger. She shows this when she says, "I picked up Lid's apple juice container and winged it at the nurse's head and missed, which was a good thing in some ways." "Oops," I said. Liz was shaking in her bed, trying not to laugh. "Next time aim," she whispered. Lydia's innocence and kindness gives Naomi cause to fight for the good in her world, and in turn inspires her to stand up and fight for what she believes in. This way in which this opportunity gives Naomi a purpose, being her friend Lydia, to fight for, helps to encourage Naomi to keep on fighting for herself and her own happiness as well. The last broad phase that can describe the ending of the hero cycle is completion, and Naomi shows us through returning with knowledge. Naomi's return with knowledge, an initial prominent gaining of wisdom, is a point that occurs early on in the book and out of order from the hero cycle. It occurs as Naomi begins to mature and understand that not everything or everyone in her town is entirely unkind. She shows us when she says, "But there is a kindness here, a complicated kindness. You can see it sometimes in the eyes of people when they look at you and don't know what to say." When Naomi realizes that not everything that exists in her town is bad, and that there are still good things and kindnesses going on, she begins to understand that acceptance and kindness, rather than rebellion and anger, is what will truly bring her happiness and closure. Naomi metaphorically seizes her sword when she defeats her personal doubts and unhappiness. She shows us through coming to understand that love and kindness defeat anger and rebellion. She shows us by saying that love is everything, it is the greatest, and I think that we all use whatever is in our power, whatever is within our reach, to attempt to keep alive the love we felt. By letting go of trying to hold on to the past, Naomi opens herself up to be able to accept happiness and move forward in her life. Understanding that love overcomes anger and grief is an essential part of Naomi being able to bring closure to her past and let go of all the pain and anger she feels. This lets her to start fresh with her life under her own control. Naomi experiences resurrection when she is told that she is to be excommunicated by the mouth. Her religious community deciding to condemn her fully removes Naomi from her past of being tied to her religion and allows her to fully be able to acknowledge and accept her new stature. This can be seen in the book when Naomi recalls the mouth coming to her house. "It's been determined," said the mouth. "What has?" asked my dad. "Naomi's excommunication," said the mouth. At this point, Naomi's religious community being the ones to break off the connection to her allows her to no longer feel obligated to the church in any way for her father's sake. This breaking of connection done by the church, rather than Naomi herself, frees her to become who she wants to be. This leaves her without feeling like she needs to stay a part of the church community for Ray, and for fear of the effects it will have on him if she were to be the one to break the connection. The achievement of Naomi's quest is seen when Naomi wakes to find that Ray has left, and she is finally able to achieve the freedom that she has dreamed of for so long. Ray leaving grants Naomi the freedom to become her own person, no longer held down by obligations that she felt for him. In A Complicated Kindness, Naomi's elixir is the opportunity of freedom, through love rather than hate. Ray leaves out of love for Naomi to give her this opportunity, and this lets Naomi feel justified in leaving and knowing that her father left to do what was best for her. At the end of the novel, she states, "I've learned, from living in this town, that stories are what matter, and that if we can believe them, really believe them, we have a chance at redemption. East Village has given me the faith to believe in the possibility of a happily family reunion someday." Naomi shows, at the end of the novel, that she has achieved her goals and completed her quest. This is seen both physically in her leaving East Village and moving away, as well as mentally in showing the maturity and acceptance she has achieved about her life and all the situations she has experienced. Naomi leaving and having the freedom to create her own life is the achievement of her quest. Through this, she experiences closure of her life in the past with her family, and from this is able to finally move forward and begin creating her own life. Therefore, to conclude, it is clear to see how through the 3 phases of departure, adventure, and completion, Naomi Nickel from A Complicated Kindness shows the hero's journey.